Joe's motto, if it is broke, don't fix it. Derby defender puts off having surgery on broken hand in order to be available. This is the headline in the front of the Irish Times this morning. There's a picture of Richard Keogh with his strapped hand. Harry Arthur feeling his groin, and Dave McGoldrick there as well at the National Training Centre yesterday. Kavanagh gets called as Power is ruled out. This is the under-21s. There's a lot more. I think there's a lot more interest in the under-21s because Stephen Kenny's managing it.
Huge.
I'll be genuinely interested, and Brandon Kavanagh has replaced Simon Power in the Irish under-21 squad to play Luxembourg on Sunday. And we were playing Luxembourg in an under-21 game, and people were like, "Oh, I wonder what's the style of play going to be?"
It's getting huge prominence across the newspapers this morning, actually, which you rarely see from an under-21 setup.
Yeah. Zlatan and Ryan Giggs are going at it. Oh, there's what could have been. Picture of Declan Rice in his first call-up to the England squad. Getting on very well. Settling in like, comfortable fitting glove. Like he's home.
Did you see his interview with the FA yesterday?
I watched about 10 seconds and went, I'm not going to watch this. I don't need to see this.
The standout line was, "As you can hear, I am English."
Did he say that?
He said that line. I wonder what a certain colleague of ours thinks of that.
Josh Cullen, who is also a West Ham player, is in the Ireland squad. He's 22. Did ask people not to listen to his accent, but to... Where's the line gone? Oh, it's in one of the tabloids. They cut to the heart of it. Kane says club rivalry is not going to disrupt England. We'll see. And then this story, obviously, which is all over the papers today. Sport Ireland seeks explanation over Delaney loan to FAI. So last night, Sport Ireland issued a fairly succinct statement. Sport Ireland has written to the President of the Football Association of Ireland seeking urgent clarification from the board of the FAI on media reports concerning a loan to the organisation by its chief executive, including the circumstances of the loan and its repayment. Sport Ireland was not notified at any stage in 2017 about any apparent material deterioration in the FAI's financial position, as per Sport Ireland's terms and conditions of grant approval. And has sought additional clarification in relation to this matter. So this is the bit where it gets pretty serious for John Delaney and the FAI, that they actually have to answer for the fact that they take public funding. It's very straightforward. If you take a grant, Sport Ireland gets to say these are the terms and conditions under which you get the grant. You sign up to those and everybody goes, yeah, and on we go. You've seen with other smaller sports organisations in the past that Sport Ireland has the possibility to hold grants back, which obviously would be very detrimental to the overall finances of any of the sports bodies, and they do that to ensure that corporate governance is happening properly. The FAI obviously have instigated a review of their corporate governance policy. They're going to have a press conference in April. What are we at now? The 20th of March. So it'll be very interesting to see what would happen. Are we going to play that video now? Yeah, okay, so we'll do this. So Dan McDonald was on last night with Joe and Kev. He's been having a look at the John Delaney FAI loan. Have a look.
Is this affecting the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month business of the FAI? We've always generally been told that things are okay. There's been an ability to invest and continue to invest in the game. While there have been references to cash flow at various times, we never really were aware of a scenario whereby something like this action could be required. Yeah. And that's what leads to so much curiosity and further questions about this. And there have been subsequent FAI statements, but they haven't really address that basic point to any real satisfactory degree that would reassure you in any way that this is no big deal. I don't think you can say this is no big deal because it clearly is. They were in court, as you said.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
Yeah, and that was before the Sport Ireland statement had been issued. The FAI issued a statement after that saying that we got your letter and we're working on our response. The association are currently preparing a reply to Mr. Tracy and will respond at the earliest opportunity. So this is a story that's going to run and run. There will be a meeting on the 9th of April with the council of the FAI, which is a bigger body than the board. So it'll be interesting to see if it comes up with that.
The big job now for the FAI is to find out who actually leaked the information to the Sunday Times. If only there was some sort of other espionage story in the news right now and another spy who might have his services available under a pseudonym.
We can probably get Sean Hartnett's number if anybody needs it. So roll with it. Elliot plans double Grand National tilt for a stable star Tiger Roll. So here we go for this. It's not on the back page, but it's a beautiful picture of Tiger Roll on the front of the Examiner this morning. And any doubts surrounding Tiger Roll's participation in the Aintree Grand National were allayed by his trainer Gordon Delaney yesterday. He also revealed that the gutsy 9-year-old may be one of a number of his charges who could follow up in the Irish Grand National at Ferryhouse as well. So Sean Kelly writing today about why the GPA should be driving the debate on the second tier football championship. And interesting piece from Kieran Shannon on the back. The tiniest of cracks are appearing in the blue machine. I see you're highlighting bits in that, so if you want to...
Well, one of them is a crappy quiz question for this week. A nice bit of trivia from Kieran Shannon in there somewhere, which I'm not going to give away just yet. Kieran Shannon basically reckons that he's back in the field over Dublin in 2020. But
I was wondering, can you make that bet?
He's not, I'm not sure if he can for 2020. He's not convinced about the field versus Dublin in 2019. It's very interesting, actually, if you look across the papers this morning, how the whole Dublin thing has been covered. Kieran Shannon is kind of in the middle ground. It's the tiniest of cracks are appearing. How much can we read into it? Time will tell. Conor McKeown in the Herald has looked at the statistics and says that they actually backed Dublin up quite well. He's saying that their average concession rate this year in the league is 14.2 points, which is roughly in line with last year, so that's a good sign. He says that, and they've got the highest scoring tally across all 4 divisions and the best points difference, and they play the lowest seed in Cavan this Sunday, so that's a positive. And they're missing a lot of players. You look at the likes of Fitzsimons, Philly McMahon, Merchant, Lowndes, McCaffrey, and then John Small only played a bit part at the weekend. Another positive, obviously. But then if you go onto the Sun, it's kind of taken at a different angle because the statistics are there, I guess, and Gordon Manning is writing that Dublin's average scoring return then is at its lowest in 3 years, and their concession rate is higher than it has been for 5 years. But he kind of points to the fact that even when these averages have been worse, they've still managed to qualify for league finals. So ultimately it depends on what your point of view is in all of this and how panicked you should be about Dublin. I'm kind of leaning on Conor McKeown's side of things here, that ultimately you look at the personnel that they're missing, and ultimately that is a huge factor in all of this.
It does feel like other teams are catching up, though, that there's more depth to the competitors who are better organised, who have learned more, who just are different. They're going to represent a completely different challenge this year from what we've seen before. Tyrone are better.
Yes,
like they're
better prepared to win.
And so Tyrone hammered in an All-Ireland semi-final, beaten easily in an All-Ireland final. That's like progress, although it doesn't really look, there's no clear enjoyable signs or benefits to it. It's not like you're like, oh yeah, we got really close. Maybe they have to run them close and lose a close game before they can actually turn them over.
Yeah, and Kieran Shannon actually makes the point that when in relation to his kind of backing the field in the year 2020, he reckons the Peter Keane and James Horn projects are actually going to reach their end point in 2020. I'm not sure if I agree with that on the Mayo front. On the Kerry front, I think he's bang on. I think it will be next year before they get within shooting distance of actually beating Dublin and winning in All-Ireland. But from Mayo's perspective, I think it's this year, isn't it? I think you look at the age profile of their winners, of their players who are capable of giving Dublin a run for their money, and the sooner the better, I think, really, for them to get another opportunity. But obviously, Kieran Shannon's worked with James Horn quite closely over the past couple of years. He might have more of an intimate, he definitely has more of an intimate knowledge of how he operates, and some of the young players coming through Mayo than I have. So you trust him to make a take that those young players really are kind of the real deal. And we have seen that, the likes of Matthew Ruan, the founded league really, potentially across all teams, playing unbelievable stuff for Mayo. The other story in the Irish Examiner is Harry Kane. The headline reading, "Ireland call never came," says England skipper Kane. So he says, "My nan and granddad were Irish on my dad's side. I had that decision, but it never really came about. As I started playing in the Premier League, the England call-up didn't come long after that. There were rumours, and I never said no to anyone. I don't know if they spoke to my agent, but I always wanted to play for England, and my dream was to play for England. Thankfully, that worked out." I wonder what would have happened if the Ireland call did come when Harry Kane was kind of flittering away, looking like he might not be
not doing great.
Yeah,
Trapp wouldn't have picked him.
True.
On the front of the Times Ireland edition, Sport Ireland seeks answers over Delaney check to FAI. So this story is not going away. On Monday, the Times revealed that a whistleblower had contacted a member of the Oireachtas Committee on Transport, Tourism and Sport with a number of concerns about governance at the FAI. It's understood that the whistleblower is preparing to make a formal complaint to the Office of the Director of Corporate Enforcement. The politician who received the correspondence is to seek advice from the clerk of the committee about whether the concerns shall be shared with other committee members, and if they can be put to representatives from the FAI when they give evidence next month. Do you have any confidence that the joint committee is going to ask any good questions, will have their homework done, will be informed, or will it be the stereotypical grandstanding bullshit that we see from our politicians whenever any of these committees are televised or have any media interest? My prediction is the latter.
Those questions that were publicly put to the FAI the other day should be printed and hand-delivered. They should be scanned and emailed, and find some sort of pigeon to actually get them to the members of that committee who will be grilling, and I use that word very loosely, John Delaney in a couple of weeks. Make sure those questions are in their hands, and that if they don't ask those questions or have a line of questioning along those questions, then something is seriously wrong here. That's, at least they don't have an excuse to say, well, we didn't see them. Make sure they get them, and they can't blame ignorance on the part of perhaps not asking the right questions, because at the very least, those questions need to be asked.
Well, yeah, I mean, confidence is low in that committee. Maguire gets nod to lead Irish attack, so unfortunately Shane Long sat out training and has been forced to withdraw from the Ireland squad. I think we need Shane Long, although it's been such a long time since he has been at the top of his form. He's still our best striker, right?
Mm-hmm. The gap is narrowing. The gap is closing. Like it would seem ridiculous to even suggest that Sean Maguire would be a better fit for the starting line position for Ireland, like say a year ago, ahead of Shane Long, even with Shane Long's poor form. That gap is surely narrowing at this point. It looks like Maguire is going to be at the start or at the weekend, and like you do have to be concerned about Long, don't you? Even if he was fully fit, like you wouldn't be fully confident in him to actually deliver the goods, perhaps against Georgia, against Gibraltar, you'd imagine so. Like, is Gibraltar the perfect kind of start to all of this, that whoever's playing just gets that little carrot of confidence all of a sudden?
Yeah, I mean, unless it's like a crappy 0-0 draw that we've seen this Ireland
that would be a disaster
team have before, you know. I don't know, maybe they score a breakaway goal and we beat them 9-1 and everybody's happy.
Was there a 4G pitch in Cyprus that time? I don't think so. At least we can blame the 4G pitch this time.
I don't think 4G existed. There's a great story it's actually from Twitter, but the Times Ireland edition has it on the back page. Jose Mourinho's Chelsea players were instructed to foul Lionel Messi to stop him from tearing them apart in their Champions League last 16 tie against Barcelona in 2006. A leaked report, that's the theme of the day, a leaked scouting report published on the Performance Analysis and Action Twitter account showed they were told to stop Messi by any means. So the scouting report includes lines like, the report noted Messi, now 31, had quality and speed but was very left-footed. You got it there?
I do, yeah. It's Performance Analysis and Action on Twitter. It came out a couple of days ago. It's really interesting. So yeah, Messi, as you say, quality and speed, but very left-footed. If option is to foul him, it is important to do it outside the box and as early as possible, as recovered from an injury recently. So foul him early, foul him often, make sure it's outside the box. Jose Mourinho has rushed to distance himself from this, that he did not compile the report. He hasn't compiled the report in a long, long time. Do you know who did compile the report? Andre Villas-Boas.
Oh, wow.
And it is
friend of the
incredible.
show.
Friend of the show. Incredible. This is like one of my favourite Barcelona teams, like the Barcelona team that had Iniesta and Van Bommel and the likes of them on the bench. Clearly he's got nothing good to say about Oliver. He says he makes mistakes with the ball, making him the ideal target to pressure. Defensively poor, has no pace and chooses the timings of the tackle poorly. When he tries to recover, he is too late. He's got no speed. He's pretty harsh as well on Carlos Puyol. He's aggressive but very emotional. He says he gets crazy with the referee and fouls against him and goes mad in provocations, bad positional sense and bad leadership of defence.
Wow.
Which is pretty harsh. Rafael Marquez then, in defending he is now more exposed because he lacks pace, and when using their offside trap he cannot recover depth behind as Puyol can. He fakes contacts like no other, and Deco gets the same sort of beating from Villas-Boas here. He falls very easily to gain free kicks, while Silvinho doesn't know how to defend, neither to control inside space. And then the final interesting thing that I picked out was Ronaldinho. Very poor transition and defensive work, exploit, constant cheater, falls easily. So a lot of cutting stuff there. Of course, there was lots of good stuff as well said.
Yeah, but how do you think Jose Mourinho felt reading that about like those players, constant cheater, falls easily, when that was the hallmark of his Porto team? Like, he's like, oh wow, this guy's great, I love him, I must have him on my team. That's what he was thinking, right?
Well, yeah, he is. I'm not sure that I'm sure that the phrase constant cheater here is used as an aid to Jose Mourinho rather than as a kind of mini complaint. They're like, don't touch this guy, basically.
10 out of 10 for this guy for being a little constant cheater.
Exactly.
Long exit opens door for Maguire is the back page headline on the Irish Independent this morning, with picture of Gavin Bazunu and goalkeeping coach Dan Connor during the Ireland under-21s training session in Abbottstown yesterday. Cora was the greatest. This is the news confirmed that Cora Staunton has retired from intercounty football, and her former manager Frank Brown says she was the greatest Gaelic footballer ever. Ulster sweat over Henderson fitness for Euro showdown. Ulster obviously need everything they possibly can get if they're going to have any chance of overturning Leinster at home in the Heineken Cup quarter-final. But obviously Ian Henderson didn't go off injured, sorry, suffered a knee injury in the game against France a couple of weeks ago and hasn't got back to full training yet, so he might be out for that. Will Addison and Craig Gilroy both going to miss the Leinster game apparently, so Ulster not having the full deck to play with. No trustin' Dustin is the brilliant back page headline on the Racing Post. Market leaders there to be taken on in Copperhead contest, so this is ahead of so let's see. World number one Dustin Johnson tees up in the Valspar Championship for the first time since 2010 this week, topping the betting after finishing 5th at Sawgrass on Sunday. A personal best in the 5th major, but they think, screw you, Dustin Johnson. We've been fooled too many times by you. Tiger Roll. Bookies fear Tiger mauling after Elliott gives Aintree go-ahead. Wow. I mean, if Tiger Roll goes and wins the National, that would be unbelievable.
As the League and Championship double, I think it's referred to. The Irish Daily, you're done, are you?
Yeah.
The Irish Daily Mail is lone hunters. Ross and Tracy demand urgent answers on FAI's Delaney dealings, and ex-spy claims IRFU hired him to combat leaks. We've been speaking about that this morning. The Herald then goes with strike threat. Maguire confident Irish will end goal famine in Euro ties.
They are the best eyebrows in Irish football, aren't they? In Irish sport.
Great question. Well,
no one gets close to them.
Kevin Kilban. Does he not have...
Look over there and see.
Not have great eyebrows.
That is no. Kevin Kilban's eyebrows.
Sean Maguire's eyebrows are excellent. So like it's
stick it back up there so we can. Can we get it? I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like, wow, I've just put my fingers in the socket.
They're independent of Sean Maguire, I think. The eyebrows, they've got their own kind of force of personality. Kenny Cunningham's eyebrows are the market leader. How did I forget Kenny Cunningham? The back page of the Mirror this morning is I will not jump ship. New Irish star Josh Cullen says, don't worry, I have no intention of switching like pal Declan. We've just entered full paranoia at this point, haven't we? Where everybody who has dual nationality is seen as a threat.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's what happens. You know, you emerge from a broken relationship, damaged and feeling slightly tender.
Well, yeah, it's... we all are feeling tender. It's there's no reason to feel tender here. I will not jump ship. Is that more or less a pledge of allegiance then? The national anthem is catchy.
And kissing the badge.
The Irish Daily Star this morning goes with takes lat. Giggs hits back at Ibra's barbs, and Rice saying I am English. That's his first interview yesterday in the England camp. The Sun then goes with FAI loan probe. Minister tells Association to provide a full explanation. And then a couple of the UK back pages. The Daily Telegraph goes with Kane takes aim. World Cup exploits were just the start, promises England captain. And there's an exclusive by Daniel Taylor on the back page of The Guardian this morning. Crew claim they did not arrange for boys to stay with Bennells. So Crew Alexandra are taking on Barry Bennells victims in the High Court by claiming it was the parents, not the club, who let boys stay overnight with the man who's been described as an industrial-scale child molester and is serving a 31-year prison sentence. You've also got Geraint Thomas and Chris Froome there. Tour de force, Geraint Thomas and Chris Froome excited by takeover as Britain's richest man, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, confirms Team Ineos will be unveiled at the Tour de Yorkshire.
Hooray. Hooray.
Richer than ever. Saving cycling.
Hooray. We love it. It's great. It's
the marginal gains will get even more marginal. The gains will get even more gainy.
There was a brilliant tweet yesterday from Dan Rowan, which I just want to do proper justice to. So Dan Rowan from the BBC. Interesting that Ineos Supremo Sir Jim Ratcliffe lauded cycling's green credentials when explaining saving Team Sky. Friends of the Earth today described Ineos, a major plastic producer and with interest in fracking, as a planet-wrecking company. Hooray. Do love me a bit of planet wreckers who are sports washing their reputations with the team. I mean, come on, did you not read any of the press about Team Sky? Don't you know that they won't wash your reputation?